Well, the story of this really starts with this. Remember I said how I was having trouble with the case mouths peening closed? Or, well, not closed, but they were closing up about 3 thousandths of an inch. Um, I did a little research, and something I came up with was, it's known one way to combat it is to double your media, run 10 pounds of media, and the guy's like, 50 cases. I'm like, I'm doing over 2,000 cases, 50 at a shot, it's going to take me forever. So I ran 200, 4 times what he's saying. Did it fix it? No. Did it make it less? Maybe. But what it did was it cleaned better. Yeah, these had already been cleaned, sized, processed, and everything prior to that. But now it's like, look at those primer holes. They look almost factory. These mouths look factory too. After tumbling them, it put all the ripples back in that associate with factory. These were all trimmed in the three-way cutter, and they were cut down. So, yeah. But really, what I'm talking about is I decided to do some of my rimfire brass 22 long rifles, and when I ran 5 pounds of media, well, let me back up a little bit. I was running the 5 pounds of media that came with the tumbler, Frankfurt Arsenal. And the 10 pounds I'm running now are 10 pounds of gun tap I had. I just swapped them out instead of mixing them. So there's some difference in those. I've done this before, but yikes. Let me give a quick example. Now, this is a Frankfurt Arsenal. Note the length. You might be able to get an idea of the diameter. This is a gun tap. Gun tap is shorter, just by a little bit, and is a little bigger in diameter. So there is a difference in them. Let's see if you can get the different. Let's see if this works. And the Frankfurt Arsenal, with use, tends to bend a little bit. Oh, come on. Frankfurt Arsenal's on the left. You can see it's a little longer. And let's see if the diameter comes through. I get this thing to focus. Focus, you silly, silly thing. It just does not cooperate. You can get an idea of the diameter difference there. I can't remember what it is, and I didn't think to mic them. But there is a definite difference between them. Now, some other differences with what I did here is when I ran the 5 pounds of media, if I ran a pound of the 22 long rifle brass, it was not so great. So I would run a half pound. There's between 700 and 750 in a pound, so 300, 3 1/4. And so running the 10 pounds media, I decided, let me try a pound. There's more abrasives happening there. Give it a shot. Also, if you think about it, that extra media displaces water, so your cleaning solution concentration goes up. So what I did was usually I use a tablespoon of Dawn. I cut back to a half tablespoon, teaspoon and a half, which there's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. So half the soap. I kept the Let Me Shine the same at an eighth of a teaspoon. And with these, what I do is first I tumble them for a half hour in hot water, just to, a lot of them are, just stuffed full of sand and really crappy. It helps just break that out, and so the soap can actually work on all the stubborn stuff. Because if you don't do that, sometimes it's just you got mud inside some of them. So I did that. I tumbled them with half as much soap for my usual hour and a half. And then, from the peening and the 223, I decided I used to tumble them for a half hour afterwards in clean water to rinse out any trapped soap that might be in there. I realized that's probably a bit extreme, so I cut that in half down to 15 minutes, which is probably still a little extreme, but, baby steps. So what I ended up with is a little less time than I usually tumble them. Not a lot, but a little bit, maybe 15 minutes. Half as much soap, that adds up. And the media, you figure 5 pounds is somewhere between 30 and 35 bucks. So, but half the soap, a little less electricity over time. It's gonna pay for itself and then some. No matter which brass you are tumbling. But anyway, now not all of these look perfect, but let's see what we got here. They look pretty good. And those results are I'd say they're much better than I used to get. And there are some that aren't, quite so shiny, a little dark, but that one shows it a little bit. But before I'd get, it seemed like more of these. Now they'll get tumbled a couple more times before these are ready to be swaged, but the first pound, I looked at them and I was like, wow. So I did another batch just to verify, because like, well, these look great. Let's make sure it's not a fluke. So I did another batch and they look just as good as the first batch. So now I'm convinced that this is a good way to go. Because it didn't come out as good the second time, it would have, been like, meh. No real difference, but there's a difference. And if there's a difference in these, because you figure there's no flash hole for the media to keep cycling through. It's got to go in one side, come out the other, come out the same end. So there's no, just constant flow. These are harder to clean in reality. And I got better results. Now the thing about the gun tap over the Frankfurt Arsenal is the Frankfurt Arsenals will choke these sometimes. Get them so packed, it's a chore to get them out. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to, and if I'm going to have to cut the brass open and trash it. Now the gun tap, I'm not running into that. That extra diameter, something seems to be preventing that so far. We'll find out later. you know, I haven't used it. I bought the gun tap for my old homebrew tumbler when I first started, that I used for about 6 months. It worked okay, but we had reliability issues. And then when I got the Frankfurt Arsenal, I just used the media that came with it and set the gun tap aside. Let's see. Oh, but when doing 223, the gun tap, a lot of times you got to shake it out of there. A lot will accumulate inside a case and won't just flow out the neck. I think the Frankfurt Arsenal cleans out of the 223 a bit better, easier. And the gun tap, that extra diameter, makes them bind at the neck. Bunch up in the shoulder and just you gotta shake them out, and they'll come out. But there's a little more work. Here it's a little less work. It may be case dependent. I don't know. Probably straight wall cases, gun tap would be great most likely, but I'm thinking, depending on what diameter, one may pack easier than the other and, just wedge right in. So, who knows? I haven't tested that. But anyway, let's see, is that everything really? Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Figured I'd share my findings here and make of it what you will. A little extra media, may work out good for you. One thing I found, 10 pounds of media in my Frankfurt Arsenal with the 223 cases, it labors a little more. With these, a pound of these is, no different as far as I could notice. But the 223 cases with like 4 pounds in there, even 3 pounds, because I cut back 200 cases, it's about 3 pounds. It labored a little more. And if the drive wheels or, the running edge around the cylinder get wet, they'll slip and stop, it'll stop rotating. So I had to dry it off, if it started slipping, dry them off, stick a rag up against the drive wheel, and once I got it rolling, let it sit there and dry it off, and then it would go good. But yeah, just be aware of that. But yeah, it's working out for me, and really, it's cleaning better, a little less time, not a lot, but a little, and less soap. That's really the big thing. I'm able to do twice as many of these. Maybe a little less on the 223, but still not a huge, it's not like I'm cutting them in half. But even maybe instead of going 10 pounds of media, 7 or 8 pounds, there may be a nice point where, it just nice balance and get better without cutting back on how much brass you're doing. Who knows? A little experimenting. All right, well, figured I'd share that with you, and enough of my rambling. Have a good one. Later. God bless. See ya. Okay, so I did my usual thing of tablespoon of Dawn, quarter teaspoon Let Me Shine, 4 pounds of brass. This is 9mm. There may be some 380 mixed in. I tried to separate that out as I was decapping, but as dirty as things are and as bad as my eyesight's getting, yeah, I'm sure I missed some. But hour and a half, then 15 minutes of rinse time, 10 pounds of gun tap pins. And there's some nickel plated in here, which I've heard is a no-no, can discolor, but I gotta say, these look pretty good. And the primer pockets are, yeah, wow. Let me try to focus in on these things. Oh. They look like they're brand new. Hardly any of them have any kind of residue left in them. So, yeah, I'm impressed. 223s, the primer pockets are not always quite that lovely. But then again, I'm running 10 pounds media now, so I haven't had a chance to really test that because the 223 I ran with that had already been run. So maybe it will have the same kind of outcome. So very cool. I just need to get the rest of the parts together for the AR9 and learn what I'm doing, because I haven't had to cast any real bullets yet. Swaging is pretty much the polar opposite in that you're not worried about how hard the lead is for performance, other than, is it too hard to swage? Is it like 10 BHN and under? And also, fill out, there's good enough, there's, okay, these are rejects still because of how they formed. Sometimes there's bits you can actually peel, and those get rejected, but other than that, pretty much, as long as it's relatively solid, they're good. So now I'm learning the real the real casting is, other than slugs, I've cast slugs and buckshot, which are, reasonably, it's got to come out right, but still, slugs go soft, and buckshot is harder, but it's not quite as important as bullets. And I'd like to find a hollow point that will feed and function nice. 16-inch barrel. Yeah, should I use slower powders? There's all that stuff. So Reloaders Network, I got a little bit of help so far, and some look here kind of stuff. So yeah, gonna have to get me the Lyman AR handbook, which I didn't get because of so many negative opinions on it, but there's some AR9 stuff, so now it's worth it. And it's only like $10, so not a big issue. I think it was like 15 before, and there wasn't any real 223 5.56 that I needed, so it wasn't worth it then. So yeah, time to go that way. Yeah. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. And at least I'm making progress, but this Lyman press is got its issues. But then again, it's no Redding T7, but then again, it's not priced like a Redding T7. It's like about half the price. So how much can you live with or try to work around? I paid $160, not like $350. There's try to learn to work with it, but and I got a lot of primers to clean up, let me tell you. But is in another video, so which will probably come out before this. All right, well, leave you with that. Feel free to, leave me some helpful tips in the comments, and I'll see you later. God bless. See ya.